What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm not doing I'm not doing any reaction. I'm just going to talk to you about something that I had an interaction the last 2 weekends in a row with an individual that I'm familiar with, that I've known for probably about a year and a half. And it was not a pleasant experience I had with this person Saturday evening. So, the basis for me talking about this and bringing this up, I'm not going to say people's names. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm not trying to oust anybody. But what I'm about to talk about is how every single patriotic American should feel. And for those of you who live in this country, born and raised, you should feel like this, period. Okay? You're an American. And I will not apologize for being a patriotic American and loving the country that I grew up in, the country that I served. Now, do I agree with the Iraq war that I was a part of? No, I do not. But that is not part of my job to dictate what I do. My job was to do what I was told. I signed up to defend my country. And the way it went is not the way I wanted it to go, but I wasn't there to protect the government and their motives. I was there to protect the people to the left and right of me that I swore to protect, my fellow Marines, and anybody else that falls under the Constitution. Now that I'm a civilian, I would protect somebody in public if I saw somebody being wronged or their constitutional rights being eroded. I will stand up and say something for the masses if that's what it takes, and that is what it's going to take. So this past Saturday, I'm going to go back to not just this past Saturday. I'm going to go back to 2 Saturdays ago. And I was having a conversation with a gentleman at a poker game, just a friendly little poker game at a neighbor's house. And he was talking about a woman who is not there to defend herself, which I do not like. If you got something to say, you say it to their face. Okay. It's one thing to make a statement about somebody that is factual with them not being there, but to sit there and just call someone crazy behind their back and they are not there to defend themselves, I have a problem with that. And I don't know the lady that he's talking about. I have no idea who she is. But what he said was talking about Trump and this, and he's like, well, she's just crazy anyways. It's kind of how he said. I'm paraphrasing, but not going to make a short story long. But he called her crazy. And I looked at him and I said, is she crazy? And I was very calm about it. And I said, is she crazy for other reasons that you're not explaining right now? Or is it because she voted for Trump? And he said, just because she voted for Trump. And he's like, well, half the country's retarded anyways. So I looked at him and I said, what gives you the right to call someone crazy because of who they voted for when they're not even here to defend themselves? But the other thing is, what makes you think that you're so right that everybody else that you disagree with is wrong? What gives you the right to say that millions of Americans out there that voted for Trump are wrong because they voted for Trump? These are hardworking, tax-paying Americans who put a lot on the line every day to provide for their families, to pay taxes, to be a part of this nation, to be a contributor. And you're going to tell me that because they voted for Trump, they're retarded. I have a problem with that. And some other people spoke up like, well, and I said, look, I'm not sitting here just defending Trump and all of his actions or any politician. But Trump is not a real politician. He's a patriot who is trying to stand up for the American people. Now, people can believe whatever they want about this, but that's facts. I did not vote for Trump the first 2 terms. I voted Democrat and Libertarian my whole life. Never voted Republican because I had a big problem with Bush, a Republican sending me to a war I disagreed with, and we all know now was bullshit. Okay. We were not defending our country. We were going over there for political reasons. It had nothing to do with defending our country. And people can argue that all day long. I was over there. I know what I saw. Okay. I know what other people have seen that have seen more than me. It was not a just war. And we went over there. So for that reason, not that I was being illogical. I think I was saying that word right. If not, kill me in the comments. But I was thinking, I always looked at who I thought would do the better job for this country, and that's how I voted. And for me, my whole adult life, since I was able to vote in 2001, I have always just voted Democrat or Libertarian. And the last couple times I voted Libertarian because I didn't want to vote for Hillary and I didn't want to vote for Trump and I definitely didn't want to vote for Biden. So now with all these indictments and everything's going on, I've been really paying attention the last 6 to 8 months and really diving in and listening to people that are doing great journalistic work, and forming a real opinion about everything. And I'm voting for Trump this year. I will say right now, Trump 2024, that's who I'm voting for as long as it's legal to vote for him, because they're trying to make it illegal to vote for him. So, which really drives me nuts in the fact that you're going to take somebody off the ballot and you're going to try to politically assassinate them, because if they could walk up and put a bullet in his head and everybody would be okay with it, they would do it. They would do it. They would JFK him in a heartbeat if they thought they could get away with it. So they're going to politically assassinate him. And it's obvious what's going on. So when you do that, you're telling me as an American, especially me personally, as a very patriotic American who is willing to put my life on the line to serve my country, potentially put my life on the line to serve my country. And I did go to a war zone. You're telling me that I don't have the capability, I don't have the mentality to think for myself and make my own decision and let the polls speak for themselves. That's what they're telling us as Americans when they take people off the ballot, that I can't think for myself. Oh, no. That I can't think for myself and I can't make an informed decision for myself about who I think would be the better decision to run the country that I love and I live in. So that's where I stand with that. Now, fast forward to this past Saturday, 2 nights ago, or 2 days ago, it was nighttime. I had a couple friends over, and this guy comes over, which I'm open my house to him, being hospitable, have a nice little fire outside in my little patio area. I invite him over. You know, I give the guy a tour of my house. It's not like I live in a huge house, just want to check it out, see my house, right? So I invite you in. I'm hospitable. I'm nice. And I'm a really nice guy. I really am. There's 2 things that I can guarantee you that will set me off. And I will not be nice to you any longer in that moment specifically, and maybe beyond, depending on how you respond to me. You will not mock the country that I live in. I am realistic about the problems that this country has from both sides of the aisle. This is not a perfect situation we're in, especially these days. And this election year is going to be ferocious. It's going to be nasty. And I'm ready for it because I'm not scared to defend my position as a patriotic American, as a Marine. Okay. So if you mock the country that I grew up in, that I live in, that I've served openly without acknowledging the problems from both sides of the aisle and what the real issues are and being realistic about it, it's going to piss me off, and rightfully so. And it should piss you off too. If you claim to be a patriotic American and you will stand up and you are willing to bleed to protect your home, you should be willing to do that. If you are, somebody mocking this country should bother you. The other thing is, if you mock my military service, I'm a Marine. That means something to me. Okay. When I went to Iraq, I thought I was going to die over there. I was willing to die, not because I believed in the war, because I was very open about not believing in the war. before we even left for it. I told him I think this is bullshit, but I'm going to do my job. Period. End of story. If I accept the job, I'm going to do the job to the best of my abilities. And I'm going to protect the people to the left and right of me if that's what it takes, if it comes down to that. I will do that. Now, I didn't have to kill anybody when I was in Iraq. I'm a lucky person. You know, it's not like I didn't see anything, but I didn't have to kill anybody. Hand-to-hand combat. I had to do that. So, and I appreciate the fact that I didn't. Do I feel like I'm somebody who could have handled it? Yes. Would I have had issues with it mentally for a long time to deal with that? Absolutely. How could you not? But if you mock my country and my military service or any military service, I don't even have to know the Marine, the Army personnel, the Air Force personnel, the Navy personnel. I don't have to know these people to defend them. This is why we've stayed a great nation for as long as we can, and we are eroding quickly because people don't appreciate the country they live in, and they definitely don't appreciate law enforcement, first responders, and military service. No longer. It is being eroded. The appreciation for these men and women are being eroded, and it drives me nuts. So, a couple of my friends leave that are like friends I hang out with outside the poker game that are good friends. I've spent a lot of time with them outside. They left, and this guy stays. And he wants to start talking politics. I'm game. I don't mind it. I don't mind a good debate, even if it gets a little heated. Doesn't bother me. I can work through it. I'm fine with that. Okay. I really am. And I've had political discussions with several people, you know, quickly at a poker game, blah, blah. And I didn't get crazy. I don't get crazy. If I'm in public, if I'm at someone else's house, whatever, I'm at your house, I'm not going to get crazy. But if you're at my house and I invited you in and you're mocking me, openly mocking my military service and acting like, it's not a big deal. What he did was, you keep bringing that up, your military service. You keep bringing that up. Yeah, and I'm going to keep bringing it up for the rest of my life. When you want to talk about open borders and you want to talk about this country being shit, it's becoming shit because of spineless cowards who are not putting America first. That's why. It ain't because of people like me. This country's free because of people like me. So I let him talk for about 10 minutes straight. Okay. Listening. All right. I hear you. All right. I hear you on that. Okay. All right. The only thing he brought up about Trump was the hush money case that's going on right now. Okay. I let him talk, let him talk, let him talk. I start talking. He starts getting all smug and wanting to shut me down and, well, interrupt me. And then I was in the process of getting my thought out and told him I have a few questions. He's like, let me answer. You're asking me a question. I'm like, I'm not done explaining myself yet. I let you talk. Now I'm talking. I'm not done with my thoughts yet. I'm not done explaining myself. And at the end of this, I will cap off the questions that I have. I know you're hearing a question, but you can obviously tell I'm not done talking yet. So he wanted to interrupt me, and I said, listen, man, I'm a war vet. I've been a Marine. I am still a Marine. And he's like, you just keep bringing it up. And I haven't brought it up a bunch, but I've brought it up a few times lately because it matters when people are talking about people have brought up Israel and Hamas and all this, that of conflict, that war that's going on over there. And what I've told them is, did any of you got family over there? Does any of you have a dog in the fight? Then you should, if you're not super well informed, if you're not boots on the ground, you're not a correspondent, you're not a military, you're not a medical aid going over there and helping people, then you don't get the whole picture. And you should be careful what you say because things over there and war zones and all, it is complicated. This is not an easy thing to do, to deal with, to overcome. This is very complicated situations. And if you are somebody who's over here, not a care in the world, never been to a war zone, never been any kind of conflict, never had to deal with anything like that, don't have any family living in a situation like that over there, you're not boots on the ground, then you should be careful about the stern stance that you have on something that's going on over there, and people are dying basically because of ideology and opinions. Be careful what you're saying, because you don't know who you're conversating with, because they're in America. They could have a mom or dad over there trapped right now, a POW, captured by Hamas. You don't understand what you're talking about if you've never been to a war zone. Seeing stuff on CNN ain't enough to get the big picture. So I'm just going to say about that. When I started bringing up, hey, man, what about the 3 years and $48 million investigation they did on Russia collusion and the Steele dossier? We know all of that. It's not a conspiracy. We know it's not factual. Oh, you're going to bring that up? Then I brought up about all the COVID stuff. You're going to bring that up? And I brought up the fact that just recently in Georgia and Fulton County, you're talking about 381, I think it's 81, right around 380,000 votes that don't have photocopies of the ballots, which that is their letter of the law. Every ballot has to have a photocopy, and they don't have a single one. Oh man, we're still talking about that. That was 4 years ago. Hey man, yes, we need to still talk. We need answers as American people. We the people, we should demand answers for all of this stuff. For the lockdowns, we should demand where the virus actually came from. We should demand, was the election stolen or was it not? And we should have unequivocal evidence, yes or no, on all these topics. We should know, and we should want to know. I know I do. I want to know about all this thing, because it can be proven if we dig in. But for political reasons, we're protecting certain allies that is making certain people a lot of money. So when he's questioning me at this moment, like, you're going to bring that up, and you don't want to, you're ready to just drop it, huh? You're happy with the results? To me, that's a spineless coward. You are not America first. You are not a patriot, and you were born and raised here. That is a problem for me. You are part of the problem, and I will not apologize for that to anyone. Period. End of story. I ain't apologizing for that. You're spineless coward. You are part of the problem. If you do not think everything was done wrong and we should be questioning these things. Now, I'm not saying the election was stolen, but boy, oh boy, when you have Fulton County alone in Georgia with 381,000 ballots with not a single photocopy of any of them, that's a problem. That doesn't seem fishy to you? I want more of an investigation done, and I want to keep going, care if it takes 10 years. I want answers. Because if our elections are being stolen, and it is true what Trump said and what his people said and what a lot of other Americans are thinking, if it is true, this is not America, and we need to take back our country. The other thing was, I said, what, dude, you think that, I asked him, I said, let me ask you something. Do you think the economy is better? Do you think grocery prices? Do you think, and this is where he's like, you're asking me a question. I'm like, I'm giving you the whole thing of the question that I'm asking. I'm being in depth right now. Do you think it's better 2016 to 2020 or 2021 till now? Gas prices, economy, inflation, all that, unemployment. Do you think it's better or worse? Now, there's only one right answer because numbers don't lie. And he said it's about the same. He said, yeah, that's what he said. It's about the same. A year and 8 months ago, I bought a house and we closed at 5.3% interest. I probably, with decent credit and a little bit of a down payment, probably for my same house, even if I refinance it, probably couldn't get under 7.5% right now. That's 2.2 points. Over a 30-year mortgage, or 15 or 10 years, That's a lot of money in interest you're paying out. That's a big difference. 2.2, that's a big difference. That's not about the same. That is way, way different. When I go to the grocery store, I'm probably spending on average, throwing a number out there, but what I've seen, I'm probably spending 30, 40% more on groceries on average. My insurance rates just went up. I just got a letter in the mail about my mortgage because of insurance rates and property taxes going up. My increase, and I got a 3-week notice, $327 more a month on my mortgage. Okay, because they said my escrow account is negative, which I don't even know how that happens because I've been paying extra on my mortgage since the day we moved in. It's not about the same. All the discord in this country, all of it, it's not the same. We were not in any conflicts. And then I said, the open border. We have open border. We got millions of illegals coming in. He's like, but what are they supposed to need a place? And I'm like, you're going to tell me they're more important than veterans? There's approximately 22 veterans a day that kill themselves, die in this country from suicide because they are not being taken care of. We got drug addicts. We got homeless drug addicts. We got people with real trauma in this country that need help, and we don't provide them help. So they end up on the streets. They end up out of their mind on drugs. And me, as a person in society, going about my business, going to pay bills, going to work, going to the grocery store, in the city I live in, I'm dealing with this as I'm out in public. People coming up to me, asking me for money. I pull up to a red light. I got people at red lights coming up to your window, waving signs and all up in your face, asking for money. I don't got no money to give right now. If I did, I'd try to help everybody if I could. But giving someone money, I have family members that are like this too. I could give them $1 million and they'll F it up tomorrow. It ain't about the money. It's about this. And we have billions of dollars to give to a war, but we can't close our borders and vet people the right way. And I agree, we do need to vet people faster with technology. We can do a better job at that, and we should, but we also shouldn't just let people in either because it's too hard. And he thinks that we should take care of those, and I called them illegal immigrants, and he disagreed. And it set me off. You're not America first, dude. And I told him, you know what, man? He started getting up and walking away from me because he didn't like what I was saying. Because I looked at him, I said, you have got to be out of your effing mind to sit there and tell me that the economy and everything is about the same under Trump versus under Biden. You gotta be crazy. You cannot sit there with a straight face and tell me this and then tell me that those illegal immigrants matter more than Americans that are already here, born and raised. And that's when he got up and started walking away. And I walked on his property and I started yelling at him. I said, and you know what? People can disagree with me all day long. I don't care. But when you're on my property and you're going to be smug towards my military experience and what I've experienced, because I didn't dismiss him at all. I let him talk. I didn't dismiss him at all. And you're going to dismiss me because you don't like what I say because you are Trump deranged person. You have Trump derangement syndrome, which I can't even believe that's a real thing. And you can't listen to somebody else. And he had no idea about Fulton County, about the 381,000 ballots with no, it's not a single photocopy. When I brought it to, how do you know? I was like, bro, you can watch court hearings and everything right on YouTube. What do you mean, how do I? I watched the court hearing. I'm paying attention. You didn't even know about that. You're refusing information that goes against your narrative that you want to believe. And I called him a spineless coward. You have no backbone. He's like, you need to be quiet. The cops are going to come. Let them come. And I'll explain to him exactly why I'm yelling at him and telling him to get the F off my property right now. You will not mock my military experience. You will not mock my country and think that I'm going to stand there. I have a spine. I have guts. I have balls. And I told him, I don't care who hears me. I don't care if I'm being loud right now because it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I live in the hood anyway, so these people ain't worried about it. I'm a quiet person. It's rare that they hear me, so I'm sure and I know my neighbors. So he's like, I told him, I said, I would stand on the rooftops right now and scream at the top of my lungs at 3 o'clock in the morning for what I believe in, if that's what it takes. I ain't trying to disturb nobody. But if you're trying to tell me to be hush hush when you're mocking my military service, when you're mocking the country that I served in my house, you ain't doing that to me. You ain't doing that to me. You're a spineless coward. And then he texted me later when I didn't even know he had my number, but he texted me later when he got home and said, I just want to remind you that he did tell me he made it home safely. I said, I'm glad you made it home safely. That's all I texted, because he was drinking, and I do care about people, whether I am pissed off or not. I don't want you to not get home safely. I'm glad you made it. But, and he wasn't planning on staying at my house anyways before this. He was going to leave regardless. So it ain't me making him leave drinking that he was going to do. He drinks and drives all the time. I can't control people. But he's like, when I didn't reply to him, I guess it bothered him. And he texted me at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning and said, I just want to remind you that your house and your property is on stolen land that were taken from the Mexicans in the American War. I was like, is that so? Here's my thing. I know the Native Americans were here when we got here and we set up shop. I know they were here. There's a lot of Native Americans that had a hand in helping this country become a thing and become the United States of America. That a lot of people believe that the Native Americans were just wiped out by the guns and blades of white American Europeans, which a lot of Native Americans passed away because of smallpox, and yes, brought to them by the Europeans, but that's the facts. They were just slaughtered everywhere. And don't sit there and act like human beings and they ain't included in this. Human beings have been nasty to each other, conquering each other, stealing each other's lands since the beginning of time. It's a thing, and it sucks, but it's reality. So who's the actual original owner of any land in this world? Because it's all been conquered and this and that and this and that. What do you want me to do? Give my house back? That I served my country, I pay my taxes, I own a business, I provide, and I'm honest. I don't deserve my house. I don't deserve the land that I have because it's on stolen land from the Mexicans, which is not true. This state is called New Mexico, but I'm going to tell you right now, when you drive around this state, we have a lot of Native Americans here. A lot of reservations, pueblos all over this state. Sovereign land. It's theirs. They have their own laws and everything on their lands. If you're on the highway, just driving by a pueblo land and you get pulled over, you're in their jurisdiction, even though they don't own the highway. The highway goes through their land that is on both sides of the highway. Even though you ain't inside their fenced area, you still fall under their laws. Now, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying, if you want to talk about the Mexicans, bro, you don't want to bring up the Native Americans when you bring up stolen land? Are you serious? Really? Okay. All right, dude. You are out of pocket. You're out of line. And I will never, ever tolerate mocking first responders, mocking military service, mocking this great nation. I will not stand for it. If you are not going to stand for what's right and be intelligent enough to realize when you're being lied to, then you're part of the problem and you're not America first. And if you're not America first, then what are you doing here? Whether you're born here or you're an immigrant, if you're not America first and you're coming here to do bullshit, or you're here and you're doing bullshit, why are you here? If there's a better spot and they're doing it better and you can find the perfect place to live where all your rights will be exercised and nothing bad ever happens and everybody's happy, go there, because it does not exist. Period. End of story. So I wanted to put this video out here. No apologies. Do not apologize for being a patriotic American. If you're flying an American flag above all other flags, fine. That's great. That's what you should do. Every house in this country right now should have an American flag on it. Every single one should have American flag. I'm not saying you have to have a flagpole out there. I got a big American flag in my garage. I'm waiting to get my landscaping done, and I'm going to put a flagpole with an American flag and a Marine Corps flag. I don't want you to, if you're flying a Ukraine flag on your house or a Mexican flag or a Palestine flag, like I've seen at college campuses, then pulling that American flag and running a Palestine flag up the flagpole, you are out of your mind. You are wrong. You are incorrect to the highest level. If you have any other flag above the American flag in this country, you are wrong. America first. And now I'm going to leave you all with that. Peace.
I've traveled so far, couldn't tell you how far. Feels as though I have been a million places at once. Many lives I have lived, many battles I fought and lost.